the first thing we do when we start, I'll just leave that. The first thing that we do when we start planning any core is you got to start with a goal. And there are lots of different forms that this goal can take. And I think often we think the goal has to be like, this is what I want them to learn about God, right? And so I'm going to have 30 different like characteristics of God that we are going to learn this year, one for each week of core. But a goal doesn't have to be that narrow. If you guys did the pre-planned cores, the goal of that second core was just to create a culture of eating together, right? That's not exactly, I mean, I do think it reflects God, but that's not exactly like a characteristic of God, right? But that wasn't my goal with that core. The goal was, all right, how do I start developing these guys or these girls and give them a habit of spending time together, of regular time together? Because that's going to enable a lot more in the future. So sometimes those goals are not going to be so academic. It might be practical. It might be, there are years, there have been some years where I've led core where the goal was like, I want these guys, the goal of this core is that somebody laughs at some point tonight because they are so dang serious. And I need them to start having fun together. And so the goal is, all right, one laugh from one person, and I think things will unlock for them. And so based off of the goal, whatever this goal is, everything else stems from that. It's kind of like an essay, right? Everything stems from your thesis. I'm not writing a whole essay and then like trying to figure out, so what do I actually believe? What's actually my point at the end? When we preach sermons, unmemorable / bad sermons are ones where you're like, wait, what was the point? What did I just sit through? Bad essays are like, I don't know what you're saying. Bad cores, I'm not saying sinful cores, I'm just saying bad cores, are unfocused ones where there's like, at the end, I'm like, I don't know what the goal was. I don't know what the whole point of this was. So yeah, you want to have a goal, and that's going to inform not just what you talk about, but how you get there. So open up your core for manuals. In it, somewhere early on, is a 6-week plan. I don't know what page that's at. 11. Thank you. So right before that, there's like 4 things that we want to include in every in your core overall. What are those 4 things? If you got your core for manual. Say that louder, please.
God's word, worship and prayer, mission, sharing life.
Yeah. God's word, mission, prayer, sharing life. Worship and prayer. Yeah. Not every core has to be a discussion. I think a lot of them end up that way because it's easy. I've been there. It's like, all right, it's a lot easier to sit down and come up with a couple of questions than to start thinking outside the box and being like, all right, what if instead of doing a Bible study on service, we actually served? What if instead of doing a discussion on worship, we actually worshiped? Or, prayer or whatever. It's like there are a lot of, if the goal is teach them how to pray, I bet some of you have led cores like this. What did you do?
I had a core once where we talked about serving one another, and then we're like, how do you think the disciples felt Jesus washing their feet? And they answered, then we were like, all right, we're going to do it ourselves. So we broke out water and some washcloths, and we all washed each other's feet.
Nice.
I also, like for last year, we talked about serving others, and we actually planned a tour where we went to Feed My Starving Children and packed up the food together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, serving and then going to Feed My Starving Children, talking about washing feet, and then actually washing feet.
We did a core where we kind of just taught about like how it's okay to ask people to pray for you, and that's like what happened. You know, we kind of prayed for each other because our core had a problem just like not being willing to like ask for prayer because they felt like they were being a burden.
Yeah, asking people to pray for you, not feeling like you're going to be a burden, but this is actually commanded of us, right? To carry each other's burdens, and if no one's willing to do that, then no one can fulfill that commandment. Yeah, there's just a lot of different. I have a great article on prayer that I love walking through with people. But if that's all we did, it's like, all right, conceptually, theoretically, now you know how to pray. Go. Be good. It would fall a little short of the finish line, I would say, right? We've probably all done a core on community at this point in our year. But if we don't also follow up with ways to build that depth of friendship in our cores, then it would fall short of the finish line. Core can just be, I feel like a lot of people have done like a Friendsgiving core where you just show up and you just eat together and there's no like core plan, right? That's core. Core is not just a discussion. Core is not just an hour and a half. Core is not just once a week, right? But the thing, there's those 4 aspects, and you're not going to get through all 4 every single time. You don't need to, right? You don't need to do like, all right, 20 minutes of the word, then 20 minutes of worship and prayer, then 20 minutes of sharing our lives, and then 20 minutes of mission. It's over a 6-week plan. Are you hitting all 4, or are you just focused on one? I would bet that every single person in here has one they gravitate more towards, right? Something that you connect with more, or you feel stronger about, like you feel more equipped to do. As much as I've led worship over the last 20 years, it's still a little awkward for me to be like, all right, guys, in this group of 10, we're gonna like sing. It feels weird to me. Not because like any theological reason, but just because I feel awkward. But I did a core visit, I think it was last year. It was Tim Edison and Klein. I thought their course started at 6:30. It didn't. It started at 6. So I walk in 30 minutes late as their peer team coach. I walk in and it's like them and like 4 other guys in front of the TV. A YouTube worship like song is playing with the lyrics going. And I mean, they are singing so loud. And they're raising their hands. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, this is so sweet. I would be so, like, personally, I would be insecure about, like, singing so loud and raising my hands in a small group of people, but they're not, because they just want to worship God. And so if I was like, ooh, I would feel awkward. I would feel weird. And so I'm not going to do that for my core and miss out on an experience like that. It's like, am I really feeding my sheep? Am I thinking like a good shepherd, or am I just thinking about me and what makes me comfortable and what I'm good at? So So as you plan your cores, I know it can be daunting. I'm not asking for perfection. I'm actually, any job worth doing is worth doing poorly. So even if you have a poor 6-week plan, make a poor 6-week plan. Like, start practicing thinking ahead beyond the next week. Just like, this is kind of, I think, where I think we want to go. Here are a couple of things that I think we need to address. Obviously, you can adjust and be flexible, but if I plan further ahead, then I can make sure that my people, my sheep, experience a well-rounded encounters with God. That God is not just academic. That God is not just emotion connected to through my emotion and worship. He's not just someone that I pray to individually, but he's something bigger than that, right? He's something more than just these experiences, just these individualized experiences. He can be experienced through serving other people, through washing their feet, through community service. All these things. This is who our God is, and this is what he did. And who am I to cheapen that experience because I feel comfortable with just one way, right? So, anything else from my fellow co-pastors? Sienna.
Can you share some examples of how to incorporate mission into core? I think even for me, where it's let's do an evangelism core, and that's the only idea I have. And so it's how do we? The other ones are I see it's easier, but how do we include that into some of outside of just one core plan about it?
Yeah, mission. That's a good question. Mission is, well, I think first off, I would say that you don't, just because you've done a core on something once does not mean you can't do it again. Probably not the exact same thing, but I don't think we've gotten to this axiom, but repetition is the friend of the adult learner. Yeah, people often don't get things the first time, or they don't get the full thing the first time. And so if you did it again, they would get something more. If you did it again in a slightly different way, they'd get it even more. Mission. I've seen it happen with bring a buddy to core day. Just everybody bring somebody. I've seen it happen in just invite one person, whether or not they come, that's okay. I've seen it go as far as invite until somebody comes. And I've seen both work really well. I've seen people, because it's not just about, we want more people at core. It's about this person growing the boldness to realize that inviting someone is not that big of a deal. So I've seen it in a concerted effort like that. I've seen it sprinkled throughout a core of just regular reminders, every core of hey, there's always room for more people here. So if there's someone you want to invite them this week. Next week, you say the same thing again. You heat up this value of mission, right? That this is not a closed group. Because a lot of people, they experience their friend groups as closed, right? It's we've been together since second grade. This group is closed. Even if we don't say it, we feel it. But it's this regular reminder of no, this, people can always come. People are always invited. Yeah, I've seen people go out during core. And it's just all right, we're going to come, we're going to talk about evangelism, and then we're going to go and we're going to evangelize. We're going to tell people about Jesus, and we're going to come back and tell and debrief our experiences. There are so many, I think there are a lot of options out there. There are a lot of more creative ways that you could do it. And the reason why we don't do it more is because we're afraid. Because I feel awkward about this. And if I feel awkward about this, they're going to feel awkward about this. And therefore, we should not do it. And again, I would say, what are the needs? Even for you, what is the real good shepherd? What is he leading you to do? What kind of pasture is he leading you to? And don't shy away from it. So yeah, mission. But I do like the regular reminders thing. That's what I've done in my course, because it's never too late. I've seen people who come to core the very last week of school, and then they're like, dang, all right, I'm gonna come all next year. And they do. Like, it's never too late. Like, yeah, it sucks that they only came for one. Like, I wish you had come for more, but better that one. Again, better a job done poorly than not at all, right? Better that they came to the very last one than say, nah, I'll just reset next year. So yeah. Anything else? All right. Lawrence, I think you're, oh wait, yeah, no, that's all I got. I did get the getaway. All right, Lawrence.